Movement is one of the most important factors in Roblox Rivals, and if you really want to master the game, you just cannot ignore it. There are 3 really important movement habits that people completely ignore, which leads to unnecessary losses. I wouldn't recommend skipping the third one because you can't really use the first 2 to outplay people without it. Today, I will help you understand how some of these mechanics work from the point of view of someone who recently mastered all of them. I don't have much experience in the game, but I'm confident that you will learn a lot from this video since this is what helped me master my movement from my beginner days. The first mistake is not using slide cancelling properly. Many of you are already familiar with slide cancelling, but I can assure you this is one of the most important mechanics, because without it, you won't learn how to strafe properly, do wall sliding, or get unstuck from most positions. Slide cancelling is pretty simple. All you have to do is jump to cancel your slide. You either wait for the animation to fully end, or you jump to cancel the animation. I wouldn't recommend waiting for the animation to end, because in most cases, you will be on walls, ledges, or ramps, and sliding from there will make you slide twice as far, which you really don't want to do. Sure, it's useful in some cases when you want to slide down faster, but if you want to keep your movement consistent, you will need to cancel the animation. To master continuous movement, all you have to do is practice. Slide, jump, and just keep the momentum going. Once you master that, you can move on to a more advanced technique, doing the same thing but side to side. A good drill would be facing forward and walking to the right, but instead of walking, do the same momentum we mentioned, except to the side. Do the same with the other side. Once you get used to that, you can now learn how to strafe. Strafing is when you basically move left and right while keeping momentum. You just don't want to stand still. Instead of going in one direction, try going right once, then left once, and repeat. That way, you will create that strafe movement. Once you master that, you've done 90% of the work. The other 10% will be keeping your crosshair on the target. For example, while strafing, try to keep the center of your crosshair locked on the target. Now that you have mastered slide cancelling and strafing, it's time to take it to the next, more advanced level, wall sliding. This is one of the harder movements to master because it's a matter of timing. Even if you master the timing, aiming and shooting while worrying about that timing makes it much more difficult. You have probably seen people infinitely slide left and right, which creates insane speed and makes you harder to track. Normal strafing has a slight delay on your jump, which makes you vulnerable for at least 2 seconds each time you slide cancel. But wall sliding can cancel that vulnerability. To learn this, you really need to focus on timing. When you slide to the other wall, you need to jump as soon as you're about to reach it, which lets you jump on top of the wall instead of jumping away from it. That way, you cancel your slide and chain another slide with it. This is extremely hard, so if you're still stuck on basic strafing or slide cancelling, I don't recommend learning it yet. I sometimes pull off really clean wall slides, but I still struggle too. I doubt many players can do it consistently. Once you figure out the timings, though, try aiming and shooting while doing it. That's when it becomes much harder, especially against enemies who also move well. Is it worth learning? I would say yes. A lot of high-level players use it to outplay opponents. Experienced players are used to casual strafing, so it's not hard to counter. But doing this, staying unpredictable and chaining wall slides can throw anybody off. The second mistake is not using your mobility utility. That includes all of the utilities in-game and also melees. I won't count every single one, but I will quickly go through some examples. You can use most utilities and melees for movement. I prefer a default loadout, but instead of fists, I use Scythe most of the time. There's so much you can do with Scythe, it's insane. The cooldown isn't big at all, and you can dash to almost any spot you want, especially in arena. Used correctly, it gives you a huge positional advantage. Fists can also be used for movement, changing directions, getting an extra jump, or climbing walls if you use ramps. You can also use the head bump jump, which isn't easy, but it is possible. Fists are very underrated for movement. Other melee options like chainsaw, trowel, or battle axe are also great. Don't sleep on movement melees. When it comes to utility, my go-to is the grenade. There are a ton of grenade boosts you can do, and it's also great for some extra damage. For example, on arena, you can throw a ramp lineup. You can do a ramp to slide wall boost. I don't know the name of that mechanic. Or just throw it under you for a slide jump off the ledge. Combined with fists, you can become almost untrackable. Satchels are also strong, you can chain all 3 and get great movement. Sniper players love using jump pads with fists for ramp boosting. Warhorn is another insane mobility utility, the speed you get is crazy. If you combine it with Scythe and wall sliding, you will be nearly impossible to track. And lastly, Substance Strip Mine. It does insane damage, but it also boosts you high in the air. I don't recommend it if you're not sniping though, it makes you an easy target. You can go vertically up and then fall straight down, which anyone with decent aim can punish. Overall, you can combine melees and utilities in tons of ways. Chainsaw to Trip Mine, or Jump Pad with fists to ramp, or Warhorn with Scythe, and so on. Just don't ignore them. The third mistake is not using jump cancelling, or what I call faster landing. In Rivals, if you crouch while jumping, you actually cancel the jump animation and land faster. That's why you see people spam crouch. It just removes the landing delay. This is especially useful for wall sliding. If you mess up your jump, spam crouch to land faster and then chain another slide. You can also use it to fake people with trip mines, jump on one, crouch cancel, and then land immediately. They will hear the audio and think you're high up in the air while you catch them off guard. You can use this with anything that boosts you in the air. It's a very underrated mechanic. It also makes your strafing faster and makes you a harder target when enemies are shooting at you. That's all for today. Let me know in the comments if I missed something or if any of those tips helped you. I want to thank you all for 1k subs. It's insane how fast this channel grew, and it's just the beginning. Subscribe if you haven't, like the video to help me out, and I will see you in the next Rivals guide.